Welcome in, guys. Back with Randy, what's up, brother?
What up? Here to talk some sports, but in Captain Ridley's faith.
Yes, sir. We're talking some predictions for Week 1, as well as some of our bets and what we think is going to happen Week 1. Let's get right into it, man. We're filming this day of Ravens-Chiefs. I'm pumped. What are your thoughts on this matchup, man?
Man, I didn't think they were going to come out the way they did. I was watching that AFC Championship game last year, and I felt that Lamar got in his head when he saw Mahomes and Kelsey start making crazy chemistry plays, scoring early, and I felt Lamar started pressing too much and thinking he had to do more than he actually did, and he got out of his game. I think when you come into a game this season, or Week 1 this season, in the regular season, they kind of reloaded. They're ready to go again. And I think with Henry, and like we talked about it in our previews, I think that this is going to be a really interesting setup with the Ravens offense, with all the speed they got on the outside and their ability to threaten with the run, with the QB and back. I don't think Henry's going to fall off at all, especially not early in the season. He's going to be ready to go. And I think that with the way the Chiefs' defensive line is set up and their ability to affect the offensive line of the Ravens that has lost some pieces, I don't know if this is going to be a situation where the Ravens are going to be out of their game. Because, I mean, even looking at the opposite side, the Chiefs' offense versus the Ravens' defense, the Chiefs are without a lot of guys, you know. And, I mean, yeah, Rashee Rice is there. Yeah, Xavier Worthy's there. But I don't know if it's going to be really interesting to see who wins on the ground.
Yeah, they went away from this run game last year in the AFC Championship game. They were killing them. It was like chunk run after chunk run, and then all of a sudden, they just stopped calling run plays, and it was like, what are we doing? They were killing them in the beginning, but yeah, interested to see how this. Obviously, probably the top two to three quarterbacks in the entire league face off. The matchmakers cooked with this Week 1 opening kickoff matchup, man, and I'm pumped to see. Chiefs are favored now, not by a lot. I think it just has to do with it being at home, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the home field advantage, it's always 3 to 3.5 points. So they're calling this a very even matchup. Maybe slightly Ravens by the 0.5 not being 3.5. It's usually 3.5 is the home field.
Yeah, man. I like the Chiefs today. I'm not a Ravens hater by any stretch of the imagination, but I've found it probably smart to not bet against Mahomes. So
that's to be expected.
Yeah.
I think that when I'm looking at this matchup, I know the DC of the Ravens left. I love this defense. And I think that with the lack of skill that the Chiefs do have to threaten the defense that they have, they're going to be able to let their top guys just make plays. And I think that the way the Ravens are going to be locked in with this run game, I'm going to go Ravens on this. And whether it's covering the spread or to win outright, I think you could look at the under in this game too. But I'm leaning more Ravens in terms of matchup and with it being with everyone on the field healthy for the Ravens.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of on the fly with this. I didn't really talk to you about this, but let's keep track of our matchups, and then we'll go through them, who we think is going to win, and then we'll have our final record by the end of the season, who predicted the most games, right? We'll do that after.
Sounds
but
good.
Yeah, our first disagreement is on the first game of the season, man. I don't know, man. I just like Mahomes.
I'll say Ravens obvious. +3. I'll take Ravens +3.
Okay. But you think outright, who do you think's winning?
I would say Chiefs.
Okay. So we're in agreement.
I'm sorry. Ravens. My bad.
Okay. No.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Ravens.
Okay. So
mixing me up.
No, we're good. We're good. Let's bounce to the fun game in Brazil that's been talked about so highly by players and everyone involved.
Who wants to go to Brazil?
Packers, Eagles, man. In Brazil, no one can wear green. You schedule two teams with green as their main color. NFL, what are we doing? But in terms of the matchup, man, I mean, talk about another great game to kind of kick this season off. You got Jordan Love and kind of like his breakout season last year with that game against the Cowboys and being a few smart plays going his way in the game against the Niners in the playoffs last year, against the complete opposite in an Eagles team where they were hot early and then they just tanked late last season and it ended in a dumpster fire. And Nick Sirianni, man, I think he's on the hot seat this year. If they can't figure it out, I think he's gone. What are your thoughts about this matchup, man?
I think with the new additions in coaching staff with the Eagles, I'm kind of looking at the Eagles this game. I think that they win in the trenches on, I want to say, both sides of the ball. I really do like the Packers' defensive front of how much talent they have up there. But I just look at last year and the way that the Packers struggled with QBs that could run. I think that if the Eagles would be very smart to look at that and try to use the QB run game element and not just run into a brick wall of a rugby scrum that's going to be the trenches in this game. I mean, you're going to have Jair one-on-one with A.J. Brown. It's a size mismatch, but Jair will travel and will go with A.J. potentially. We'll see. But I think that this is going to be a big showcase of what Kellen Moore is bringing to the Eagles. Off paper, I want to take the Eagles because I like the Eagles secondary as well, all the improvements they made, whether it was through draft picks, bringing back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I don't think the Packers have the players to dominate or just make plays one-on-one. But, I mean, this game's all going to be about coaching. There's no real discrepancy in terms of mismatches. You look at maybe the receivers of the Packers versus the DBs of the Eagles, but LaFleur makes up for that.
You said it comes down to coaching. I could not agree more. That was going to be my main point. I think these teams are actually pretty even. When you look at the terms of the NFC as a whole, I think these teams are kind of in the same spot at the end of the year. It's a great matchup week one. I think it just comes down to coaching. I like LaFleur, and I like what this Packers team has got. I like the Packers in this game. They're underdogs. It's minus 130 for the Eagles, plus 110 for the Pack. Obviously, no home field advantage in Brazil, but they're. I think the Packers, man, I like what they got going on offense. I like LaFleur, what he draws up for them. Kellen Moore could shock me, and he could pull out some stuff out of his ass, and I'm like, okay, he's the guy for them. But I like the Packs front seven. You touched on it. I think they did a lot to add to that unit. I like the Pack this game. What do you? Who's your overall? Who's gonna win?
I want to take the Eagles.
Okay.
But I want to just take the under. I mean, I don't want to pick this game because I don't really feel very confident in either one team running away with it because there's so much unknown with this coaching staff of the Eagles. But I mean, if I have to pick it, the Packers are a known team in terms of what they bring in terms of the edge in coaching. So, I mean, I think the Eagles have all the tools to win this game and advantages, but I don't know if they're going to take advantage of them. And I don't really know if I like Kellen Moore all that much, so I got to go with the Packers money line in that.
Cool. All right, so we both got the Pack this game. We'll go over to Cardinals going into Buffalo week one. I'll take the reins on this as the Cardinals guy.
Go ahead,
I think live odds are changed right now. Bills are at this point minus 229 favorites money line to win.
You're looking at that spread. You got to look at that spread.
The spread is the biggest one.
That spread is wide, compared to that's basically saying the Cardinals ain't going to be able to put up points. Yeah. And I don't think that's the case. I think the Cardinals are going to be able to score. 6 is a little too wide.
Yeah.
6.5.
Yeah, if you're going to take a bet, definitely don't take money line, but the spread, I was just looking at how heavy favorites they are to win the game overall, which I think is kind of a toss-up right now. I know you got Josh Allen and that awesome just Bills identity that they built around him, but they, like we touched on in our overviews, the Bills lost a lot of defensive guys that they are going to miss dearly, and I think this K1-led offense is going to expose them week one. I'm a big Jonathan Gannon believer. I like Drew Petzing a lot. I think I'm not gonna pick the Cardinals to win. I think the Bills get it done with a last-minute field goal or something, Josh Allen-led drive. But I think it is gonna be like a 34-27 kind of high-scoring game. What are your thoughts on that?
Are you gonna make me pick a winner, or can I pick the spread?
No.
I'm spread all day on the Cardinals.
Yeah. Just pick whatever bet you like, and then who you think is gonna win.
I like the Cardinals to cover in this game because I do think that although the Bills are known for a certain style of offense and being able to score, they were 5-5. Josh Allen has had issues with turnovers in the past year. And I do think that he, like we were saying in the preview, he has to adapt his style of play to these new guys. And, I mean, if Dalton Kincaid goes off, all right, I'm going to look goofy. But I think that the Cardinals have enough weapons and skill set on offense where the Bills don't have the pass rush to affect it, and the Cardinals are going to be able to play and put up points.
Final answer. Bills, Cardinals.
I mean, dude, if you're making me pick one,
I'm making you pick.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead with my gut and just take the Cardinals then. To be honest, I don't believe the Bills are going to be able to just roll out and dominate with this new thing. I think there's going to be a bit of a learning curve, whether it's like they figure it out midway through the season or a third of the way into the season. They have to adjust into a new style of ball.
Yeah, man, I think this game comes down to the wire. It pains me. I would have picked the Cardinals if B.J. Ojulari and Demarcus Robinson were playing. I would have picked them for sure. But I think with those two guys missing, I don't really see anybody getting pressure on Josh Allen. And that's just not a good recipe when he can just sit back there and just be.
It's gonna be a shootout either way.
Yeah, it's gonna be high points. But yeah, you like the Cardinals. I like the Bills.
I'm just going to take them. Yeah, it's my gut.
All right. No, yeah. We'll go over to the Patriots at the Bengals. This is I think the heaviest favored game in the entire Week 1 slate.
I think if May was starting, I'd feel a little different. But I just think with Jacoby, you're not really getting much from the Patriots.
Oh, yeah. I think either way between him or Brissett starting, I think this is just a loss for the Patriots. In terms of just talent on the depth chart, if you compare them side by side, you can't really even compare them. It's so lopsided in the Bengals' favor. They got the better quarterback. They got the better receivers. They have that little running back tandem that I'm interested to see that we talked about with that Chase Brown, Zach Moss.
Yeah.
And you got that defense, man, which it's not going to take a heroic defensive effort to beat this Patriots offense into the ground, but
they got some speed. And I think that you could see the Patriots maybe put up a strong fight early, but this is a game where the better team pulls away.
Yeah.
And whether the spread is too large, I don't like the -8.5 because I think that it's a Week 1 game. Jamar hasn't been there. T. Higgins is there. But, I mean, you got Christian Gonzalez. So you're relying then on Jermaine Burton going against their number 2s. And it's like I think that this is a game that's going to be maybe like weirdly competitive. But I think the better team will pull away.
Okay.
I'll take Bengals, though.
Okay. We're in agreement there. We'll head over to an AFC South matchup, which I am pumped to see. The Texans play at the Colts. The spread is at 3 right now in the Texans' favor. We got money line is -148 for the Texans. What are your thoughts on them?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if the Texans can establish some ground game. Because, I mean, Mixon's coming in, and he hasn't been dominant. Like, throughout his career, he's had good seasons, good games. But, I mean, he's going to need to be a big part of this game because this Colts defense is fast, and they brought in some pass rush. They got guys up front who can affect Stroud. And I think that it's a divisional opponent. They know each other well. It's going to be a highly competitive game. I do think that the skill of the Texans should give them the edge, and I do believe in the Texans' offensive line. But, I mean, the Colts have a good offensive line in their own right to where those two edge rushers, are they going to be able to dominate? And if they don't, that's going to put a lot of strain on that back end when there's a rushing threat the way the Colts have. I think both teams are going to be able to put up a good offensive game, and it's just going to be about who can affect the QB more.
Totally agree. I think in terms of talent, like you touched on, Texans have it. They have them beat on the defensive side of the ball for sure. I think if you're looking at quarterback play, I touched on in the overview, I'm not the biggest Stroud guy this year. I think he has a little sophomore slump.
Yeah.
And I think this is a little revenge game for the Colts after getting knocked out last year. I think this might be a little redemp. It's in Indianapolis. That place is going to be rocking. I'm going to take the Colts to win this game. What are your thoughts?
I think Anthony Richardson is going to have a good game on the ground.
Okay.
Because you got these edge rushers that are going to be able to force him around in the pocket, but not a lot of guys that can clean up inside. And, I mean, with the skill set like you have as rushing threats with QB and running back, and divisional opponent where they know him and it's at home, I got to take the Colts. Even as much as I love the Texans' offense, I think this is not a good matchup for them with a rushing threat like this at QB.
Sounds good, man. Let's head over to the Jacksonville-Miami matchup. Jaguars at the Dolphins.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty bad. I think, like we talked about with that matchup with the speed on the secondary, it's going to give the Jaguars problems.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, Tyreek versus secondary, dude.
It's gonna be burnt toast all day. Dolphins, I think, pull away pretty easily in this one. What do you think?
Man, it's just going to be about how well do they take advantage of mismatches for the Jaguars? Because the Dolphins, they're going to have their share of big plays as they always do. They're going to put up points. They're going to score. They're going to have chunks. But can the Jaguars put together consistent drives with the two-back rotation that I like, with all the mismatches that they got at receiver? I think that they could potentially do that. It's a really tough kind of thing. A lot of these games I think are going to be potentially competitive, but this one's really going to come down to how well does Doug Peterson prepare his guys.
Yeah, if you had to pick a team.
Man, I love the offensive players on the Jaguars, and I do think that the Dolphins are going to have their chunks, but I think there's just too many mismatches for this Jaguars with skill position players, with running backs, with Evan Ingram and all these guys. I think the Jags are going to be able to move the ball. They're both from Florida. There's no, they're coming to Miami in a hot summer and they're a northern team. There's no significant advantage that way. I want to go Jaguars in this one.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Go into Miami and beat the Dolphins.
I think so. I'm kind of concerned about the Dolphins' lack of depth at receiver, and if they're not able to just bank on Tyreek and Jalen blowing by dudes, then where are they going to win? I like the running back room as well, but I think the Jags could score with them, even with the Dolphins' strength on defense.
I'm totally with you on that. I think the Jaguars are going to have – I think this Dolphins team is very good on defense, but they are banged up like we kind of talked about. That Jaguars team, they can move the ball. I'm pumped to see what Brian Thomas Jr. looks like in this offense. All right, you like the Jaguars. I like the Dolphins. We'll go on to the Titans at Chicago, man. I'll let you take the floor with your team, man.
Man, I'm excited to see the utilization of all the new talent on offense, because I think that we're not going to see execution at a high level early. I think that they're going to rely a lot on Caleb being special and his chemistry that he's built in the offseason with some of these players. I mean, we saw in the preseason he's going to be able to do it, but I'm concerned with the consistent execution on offense that the Bears are going to be able to string together offensive drives to be able to keep the Titans off the field, And I think that the Bears are going to get some turnovers. They're going to force some turnovers on defense, but I do think that the Titans are going to be able to hang around. And I mean, it's 3.5 points in the Bears' favor. It was 4.5 at other points. I do think that Caleb's going to be able to take care of the ball, but it's going to be a lot on his shoulders this game because the Titans got a good ability to stop the run. So I look at the two-back rotation that Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are, and I don't think the Titans have much of an advantage in terms of running the ball. But I think I got to go with the Bears in this one just because I think they have way more playmakers in both skill position groups on both sides of the ball to where they're just going to make more plays.
I agree. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. I think with
surprisingly, it shouldn't on paper.
It shouldn't, but it's week one. You got to keep into keep in mind here with all these games, like it's week 1. No one's going to look perfect. There's going to be mistakes by both. It's honestly who's going to make the least amount of mistakes.
Yeah.
And I like the Bears. I'm going to pick them to win. But I don't love this game as a whole. I think it's going to be kind of scary game for you as you're watching it. But this Titans team, they reloaded quick. If Will Levis comes out and torches this Bears defense, I'm not going to say it wouldn't shock me, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think the loss of D-Hop in week 1 is going to hurt them a lot, with Jalen Johnson really keying in on Calvin Ridley. And I think that might be the X factor, man, is they might just be able to lock up this Titans passing game with their number 1 or 2 receiver, however you look at it, out. So, yeah, I like the Bears in this one too.
I think that it's just – I don't think the Titans are going to be able to make enough plays. Mm-hmm. I think that there's just way more talent on the Bears. I mean, I think the Titans are going to be able to put together some longer drives because they have the juice at running back that can tire out our defense a little bit. And with the head coach being the OC as well and his skill to keep teams guessing and use play action, I think that they're going to be a frustrating team to play against. But I think the Bears are just going to be able to make more plays because they got more guys on both sides.
Totally agree, man. Let's head over to the Steelers playing at the Falcons. This totally revamped Falcons look. The Arthur Smith revenge game if you're a Falcons guy.
Arthur Smith revenge game,
yeah.
Bro. I'm dead.
The Steelers go into Atlanta, man. What do you think?
That's one of the funniest things I heard, bro. I was not expecting that Arthur Smith revenge game. I mean, oh, dude, I think Arthur Smith's going to have a tough time, bro. I think that Falcons defense is guys at every level of the defense. They got guys who can affect the quarterback against the Steelers offensive line that's not stout, like they can let up some pressure to a guy like Grady, Judon, and the pass rush rotation they have. I don't think the Steelers have much of an identity on offense. Points are going to be hard to come by, and I think the Falcons are going to be able to put up points in a dome on a turf field with the passing game they've established. I mean, it's going to take some TJ Watt game-changing plays, which is going to be the thing with the Steelers all season long.
Yes.
They're going to rely on TJ Watt strip sacks to be able to hang in games. And I don't know that can happen on any given down. But I think in terms of just looking at what you expect, I expect the Falcons to come out and put up some points, put up 20 to 30 points. And I don't think the Steelers can put up more than 20.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think this Falcons offense just overpowers the Steelers. I think if you're Drake London, you're Bijan, you're Kyle Pitts, I'm extra fired up this game just with how poorly I was used under the Arthur Smith regime last year. And if you're a Falcons fantasy owner from last year, you're definitely watching this game just being like, all right, let's see these guys put 80 on the Steelers. But we'll see. I think I'm not going to count this running game out from the Steelers. I think if the Falcons are smart, they just dare the Steelers to throw the ball and let this pass rush just go after him because their identity is going to be Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren. They're going to be.
I don't even think you need to load the box.
I mean, I think if you're just daring to let them pass the ball, I think that's probably a smart option. You might be right. They might be able to just cover and rush for. But we'll see. I like the Falcons in this one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Watch Bijan and Darnell Mooney in this game and see what type of utilization they have in this offense. I think those are two guys who are going to have a big year and could potentially show out in this game against a defense that can't really affect them too much.
Yeah, I like the Mooney pick a lot. I think he's going to be kind of slept on by the Steelers team, and he might torch them. But
it's a great fit in the offense as a two.
Yes, yeah, totally agree. We'll go to New Orleans now. We got the Carolina Panthers at the Saints. Thoughts on that? Yeah, just brutal game, to be honest.
Bro. I mean, I don't like it at all. I mean, it's just going to come down to if Bryce can get out of the pocket. I mean, you got edge defenders in New Orleans who are athletic. And, I mean, they should prepare. They should know better. But, I mean, if Bryce can use his legs and get out of the pocket, get on the run, they got playmakers to get the ball, too, who can run after the catch. But, I mean, it's just going to come down to who makes more mistakes in this game. And I think that when you're looking at the Saints, it's a more veteran team. They got guys on offense who are going to stumble into some production, whether it's Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave with Carr getting them the ball. I mean, I think Shaheed could break off some plays. I mean, we talked about this Panthers secondary.
Yeah.
J.C. Horn is going to be locked into Olave. I think Shaheed could have a game. And I think especially in New Orleans, I just think that it's going to be ugly. I don't think either team is very explosive. And I think that it's just going to come down to who makes more mistakes, really, in the end of the game.
Who do you think's going to win?
I got to take the Saints in this one.
Saints, okay.
Yeah, I got to take the Saints.
Yeah,
at home.
I like the Saints. I think it comes down to that home field advantage for me here. I think you touched on it, that Saints team has a bunch of veterans on that team where they can really just – they've been in this moment. They're not really strangers to playing in the Dome, playing against this Carolina team. I will say this Carolina team, I think Dave Canales – if they do end up winning this game, it's going to be Bryce Young actually having a fantastic, efficient game.
He's athletic. He can use his legs.
If I'm Dave Canales, I'm scheming up high percentage completions in the first quarter to get Bryce Young's feet underneath him, and then you can kind of start looking down the field. But this might be like a 22 for 25 type of game from Bryce Young with like 200 yards passing.
22 for 25. I think he throws more on completions. He throws a pick or two in there.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, if Andy Dalton's starting this game for the Panthers, I'd take Panthers all day.
Okay. All right. I just hating on Bryce Young. Caught me off guard again. I'm going to take the Saints, though. We'll move on to the Vikings at the Giants. J.J. McCarthy goes down. Sam Darnold finally gets the keys to the car. And it's a freaking Lambo at that with the skill guys that they got. They got one of
Jordan
the best.
Addison playing?
I think he is. I want to check the injury report. I'm pretty sure.
That came out yesterday. I didn't check to see if Addison was playing. I know he had that leg injury.
I'll check.
Depending on that, I mean, it's going to be tough for the Giants to hang with Justin Jefferson.
While you're talking, I'll look that up. But this Giants team, yikes! They got some guys. That defensive line might give this Vikings O-line problems, and Darnold might be under pressure a lot.
I see a few ghosts.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, he's going to be probably right back in that boat.
It's almost Halloween, bro.
Yeah, almost is. It's almost spooky season. We'll get there. But the Giants, they draft Neighbors. They got their guy at receiver, but can Danny Jones get them the ball? I don't think so. I like the Vikings in this one. Going into New York, I think it might be tough, but I think the Vikings pulled away with just pure talent.
This is going to be a tough game for Sam Darnold. I mean, this is going to tell us a lot about the rest of the season of how it's going to go for him because the Giants do have players up front. They do have a front seven. This is going to get after him by just rushing four. So it's like I don't like this Giants secondary really whatsoever. And Justin Jefferson is going to have himself like quite a game if they are able to block this Giants front at all. But I do think that with Sam Darnold's given history of turning the ball over and not being able to handle pressure very well, I mean, if the Giants and Brian Daboll can prepare an offensive game plan to utilize their ground game and take advantage of this weakness in the trenches with the Vikings, I mean, I could see this being a Giants win, whether Daniel Jones throws the ball 8 times like Jimmy Garoppolo does, or he ends up actually throwing the ball more. I think Sam could turn the ball over a couple times in this game.
Yeah, this might be like a 13-10 type of game, bro.
Yeah.
It might, and I don't know. I might change my answer real quick. I might go with the Giants.
I'm going Giants.
Okay, so we're in agreement. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like Sam Darnold against this type of front seven.
When I was talking about this Giants D-line, I'm thinking if I'm Sam Darnold, and I've literally had no success in this league at all, and then you put me up against Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence and just a bunch of guys that are just going to get after me. I'm like, all right, at home. I'm changing my answer. I'm going Giants. You with me on that?
I'm gonna go Giants too. I just think they have the front seven to put pressure on a guy who doesn't handle it well.
All right. Both got the Giants. We'll go to Seattle now. The Broncos going to Seattle. Bo Nix's first start as a Bronco. What do you think?
I mean, the Broncos aren't going to be able to score points. I
Yeah.
mean, that's literally just the case.
Yep.
This is a very easy win. You could go Seahawks -6 all day in Seattle. I mean, this is not going to be, I think, a very competitive game. I don't see any way the Broncos are able to hang in this game because I don't see how they put the ball in the end zone with the players they got. Sean Payton can try all he wants, but there's no weapons.
Yep.
There's nobody who's threatening this defense which is actually very strong. You know, it's going to be Cortland Sutton potentially doubled with Tariq Woolen on him or Devon Witherspoon. Cortland Sutton is the offense. You can run the ball with Javonte Williams, but this front seven is strong. You don't want to run into this front seven, and they're going to have no choice.
Yeah.
It's a rookie QB going against this defense. It's Seahawks all day.
Yeah. In Seattle, man, that 12-man's going to be jumping. I think it's really not even a question here.
No.
Seahawks all day. We'll move on to Raiders going into L.A. Jim Harbaugh, first game as a Chargers head coach, man. What do you think?
It's going to be really interesting to see if Gardner can protect the ball this game because the Chargers, like we talked about in our preview, have built their defense to stop the run, and they're playing a team that is going to want to establish a power run. And, I mean, there's not really anything behind Zamir White to be able to threaten the big play. So now you're putting a lot of pressure on Gardner Minshew versus Khalil Mack, who absolutely ate them alive last year. And I know Justin Herbert's hurt, and they're only favored by 3. But, I mean, it's all going to come down to mistakes in this game. Is Herbert that hampered by the foot injury? But Gardner has to protect the ball if the Raiders want to hang in this game because I think they're going to have a tough time if he's turning the ball over.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think with Herbert, a report came out yesterday. He said in an interview that he's fine and he never had plantar fasciitis.
He never had it?
Yeah.
Really? That changes everything.
That's probably – well, I think it's probably might be a little bit of cap. I think if you're going into a week 1 game and you got –
we'll see how he looks on the field. But
yeah.
if he doesn't have anything, it's easy. It's an easy Chargers pick.
Yeah, I think the Chargers – with this power,
actually. I don't know about easy Chargers. Pick,
yeah,
that Raiders defensive line.
Yeah,
no,
this is a tough game.
It's an ugly game. It's a divisional one too. It's tough.
It's a tough game. This
Raiders
game
put up 63 on them too last year.
Yeah,
and
yeah, man. This is what I was feeling with the Giants game, where I was like talking about
this matchup.
Yeah, I'm staying away from any types of bets with this game. It is not great at all. If I had to pick a winner though. If I had to pick a winner, because we got to pick a winner.
I might just go Raiders then.
I like the Chargers, bro.
You like the Chargers? I'm just going to go Raiders.
All right, we'll go Raiders. All right. So I'm going to go Chargers. You're going Raiders.
Yeah, Gardner just has to protect the ball. But, I mean, it's going to be low scoring. I mean, the over-under in terms of points is 40. You could go under that for sure.
Yeah. I like the under if you're going to do anything. Otherwise, stay away from that game. But we'll go into Cleveland now. You got the Cowboys going in there. Deshaun's back. See what he can do against this Cowboys team. What are you thinking?
Man. It's going to be really tough for the Cowboys on offense, I think. And, I mean, depending on how Deshaun looks, I mean, if he's got a full offseason to prepare and you're not having Nick Chubb, but you still have that offensive line to potentially limit what the Cowboys are able to do. It's the first week in a new Mike Zimmer defense where I do believe in the vision for it, but I'm curious to see how it looks over the course of a season. As to like week 1, they may have some problems,
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I had to pick a team in this, I like the Browns because I do like the trenches on both sides of the ball for them, and I like their defensive speed to be able to negate some of what the Cowboys are going to try to do. I think the Cowboys are going to be smothered in this game.
Yeah, I think if you're the Browns, you are taking away CD, and you're just going to let anybody else beat you. I'm going to take the Browns in this game. I think the Cowboys, if they were to win this game, it's going to be a bunch of turnovers and guys making plays on defense, and Micah Parsons getting after it with DeMarcus Lawrence. I think, but I don't really see that happening, to be honest.
It's like an all-time game from Parsons.
Yeah. This Browns team is very talented, 1 through 53. So I'll take the Browns in this one as well. We'll go down to the Buccaneers now, hosting the Commanders. Jayden Daniels' debut. What do you think?
Man, I don't like the Washington front against this Tampa defensive line and Todd Bowles. I think this is a great game for Todd Bowles to have a good day on defense, and I think that Washington offensive line against Vita Vea, and I forget the D tackle's name, but I know the skill set in mind. I think they're going to have a day inside, and also, too, they got enough guys to lock down the receiving options that the Washington Commanders do have. Unless Jayden Daniels has a day with his legs, it's just going to be really tough for the Commanders to put together an offensive drives. They're going to keep their defense off the field. The Bucs are going to have their opportunities because they have the receivers like Mike Evans, I'm sorry. But it's just I think the Bucs. I have to take the Bucs in this game. It's a way more veteran team.
Yeah,
in terms of experience together.
I totally agree. I think that comes down to what is going to set them apart for me as well as Buccaneers. Man, they were there last year. They overachieved a bit, in my opinion. Yeah. They do lose Canales, as we talked about in our overview, but I think they just got more talent. They got more experience, like you touched on. This Cliff offense is going to be set up for Jayden Daniels to succeed, but I've seen what Cliff does to a team offensively. So I'm staying away from anything he's involved in. I'm going to go with the Bucs on this game.
Yeah, I mean, I was already, when we were getting through it, I'm already looking towards a Sunday night game.
Yeah,
I'm way
man.
more interested in that than this Bucs and Tampa game. I think that's an ugly game, but I got to go Tampa. And in this Sunday night game, we got the Rams and Lions.
Yep.
Oh, man, I'm surprised that it's only 4.5. I mean, I know Stafford had a pretty good game against them in the wild card round. I think it's going to be different this time around because I think the Lions have more talent in the secondary to compete with these receivers and what McVay is going to want to do on offense, along with the Lions' ability to control the line of scrimmage. I think that if Aaron Donald's still in this game, maybe a different story. But with all the youth and inexperience in the Rams front seven, they're going to have a tough day. The Lions are going to put up 30-plus on them.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there with this Lions team. This Rams team is not that I mean, they lose the best defensive player in the past 2 decades in Aaron Donald, and they're going to be struggling how to figure out how that works, and they don't get an easy week 1 cakewalk to figure it out. They got our consensus #1 team, the Lions, which I think, if I had to make a Super Bowl prediction right now, is the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl. That's what I think so. Okay, so we're in agreement there.
They got so much better in an offseason and when they were already so competitive. And I think the most massive thing that they did in the offseason was retain the OC. Yep. You know, I know Dan Campbell called plays at certain points for the Lions, and I don't know how much of a hand he has in it. He definitely has a hand in the identity of the offense and this team overall. But keeping Ben Johnson was so important. And I think the way they have such a investment in the offensive line and they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage like that, it's going to be tough for the Rams to key in on anything, and they're going to be off balance all game.
Yeah, not to mention it's in Detroit too, so it's not like they have any
Sunday
advantages.
Night too.
Sunday night in Detroit with this Lions team.
Oh yeah,
I think Lions easy, to be honest.
I'm surprised it's only 4.5.
Yeah.
I think it should be 5.5, maybe 6.
Yeah. All right, we'll head over to the Monday night game now. Like I said, the matchmakers cooked. These primetime games are awesome this week. We got the Jets at the Niners. Who do you like?
Man, it's a very hard-hitting matchup between two teams that are super physical. I had a lot of questions about the Jets offense and being able to have consistency in putting together drives, because I wonder how much Nathaniel Hackett is going to hold them back. And I know there's the CoC thing. I don't believe in the CoC thing. I don't think that it worked when he was in Green Bay with Mike McCarthy, and I don't believe in that right here. I think the Niners, it's going to be tough for them to put up a lot of points because the Jets secondary the Jets have a great front seven as well. They're stout every level of the defense. But the thing is, though, is that it's still Mike Shanahan. I think George Kittle could exploit some matchups in this game with his size and athletic ability and speed. And I think both teams are very physical, so it's going to come down to who makes more mistakes. I mean, a lot of people don't like Brock Purdy, but I think that offense executes, though. And if I have to take a team in this, I have to take the Niners because they've proven more over time, being in the NFC Championship for 4 out of the last 5. I mean, I think that they're running it back, and I think this defense is very veteran, and we'll see if the Jets are able to put together drives consistently. If they are, they're going to win. But I'm betting against that, and I'm taking the pedigree with the matchup.
Yeah, this is a tough game because if you go with the Niners, you're banking on experience being there before, pedigree like you just mentioned.
Yes.
But you're also going against Aaron Rodgers and this team that's fired up to get around this guy after 4 snaps in. Achilles blown out last year. So
Bro straight up edged them last year.
Literally, complete edge fest from Rodgers last year. And the Jets they're poised to make a deep playoff run, in my opinion. I was high on them. I'm still high on them. I'm going to pick them to beat the Niners.
That's okay.
In San Francisco, I think Rodgers, man, he's got that arrogance about him that you have to have as an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. And I'm going to go with the Jets, man. Anything else you want to touch on that game?
Something else. I think there's been a kind of loss of like what history has shown us about quarterbacks as well. I know we see clips. He's not getting hit in the preseason, in the offseason. We always looked back at quarterbacks when they hit about 40. Where did the play go? All of a sudden, they're looking frail, and then they're not able to hang in the pocket, and their arm strength falls off. I don't think Rodgers is going to lose a lot of arm strength, but I'm wondering how he's able to consistently pass from the pocket given his frailty. I mean, I saw the team photo. Dude does not – he looks like he just aged over these past like 3, 4, 5 years, like 30 years. I'm concerned about his ability to sit in the pocket. If the Niners can't get after him, he's going to sit there and pick them apart.
Yep.
But I think that I'm going to take the Niners, but I think people kind of lose that whole like quarterback age cliff, you know? And I mean, there's the whole clip of, Brady's going to fall off a cliff. I don't know if Rodgers is going to fall off a cliff, but I think that we kind of overlook that age does kind of degrade play, and I think that could play a factor. And Rodgers is 40.
Yeah, I think Purdy is going to have a terrible game. I think this is
It's possible.
I think his true colors might shine through. I'm telling you, man, if they can get after and make him uncomfortable, like
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sight for Niner fans where you're like, okay, if he gets pressure on him, he kind of just gets a little happy feet in the box, in the pocket. I mean, and you got Gardner, you got Sauce Gardner on the outside with DJ Reed just waiting for this guy to make a mistake. Yeah, man, I think the combination of the Jets' disappointment last year and this defense's frustration with basically having to carry an entire team in their back last year is going to boil over, and it's going to unfortunately go right on Brock Purdy's face. So we'll see how that goes.
Water on your face.
Yeah,
sounds horrible.
Not great. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys listening. This is our week 1 predictions overview, who we like. We're going to do this every week, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to follow the Instagram and TikTok. It's Let's Talk Ball _podcast. Randy, I appreciate you joining me again, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and we'll see you
Caleb
guys
Williams.
next week. Yes, sir. Bye.